You skipped over the janitor.
I have a question about real estate taxes, though. Do we not have real estate taxes because Metro West is also?
We're exempt.
Well, we don't pay ourselves, but when we had Helping Hand over there.
We did.
We had to pay real estate taxes for them. So do we not have that because Metro West is also a nonprofit?
I don't know if they're a nonprofit, though.
They are.
They are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they are.
No,
There's no real estate tax for them.
okay.
Yeah, we're not, yeah.
All right.
Did you want to make the change in the janitor service? 'Cause
I
we
was
got-
told that we have a new
We got
contract,
an actual, right?
but we don't know what windows and carpets are, so that's
Oh.
still a guess.
Okay.
We just approved it tonight, the new contract.
Well, I mean, but it would have been a savings, but you're saying 2,400, keep that in as possible for windows and
Well, it's
carpets.
it's under 10,000 for them, but then.
Got it.
we-
Okay.
yeah.
Just asking. All right. Tracy's going to be borrowing office supplies from East Dundee. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. I said borrowing. I might borrow some from South,
Return an empty
I'll borrow some
cases.
stuff from South
Yeah,
Elgin, too.
exactly. Yeah, okay.
So that 2225 is really high, right? So we're talking about?
I don't know. We can keep trying to do that. That's trending, that's not.
What line
trending
are you
up.
on, Mike?
Well, the office supplies is the last one.
Oh, okay.
119.
119?
We can reduce that by,
I
four.
don't,
But you know what? We
I
got the
would-
tariff increase, all that stuff coming from Amazon's gonna go up.
That's true, it is.
you know what else? The toner, the copying machine, the toner and all that, that's
That's
a lot
under
of money.
contract.
Yeah, that comes,
Yeah.
that comes with the.
Oh, they send that
yeah.
out in, okay.
So you keep it at 28 then?
I would keep it.
Okay.
It's pretty minimal.
Canadians declared war on us, and China did too, on the trade.
Oops, sorry.
I know.
And
It's nickels, but it adds up.
so does our service pay for janitorial supplies, or do we pay?
We pay
We pay.
separate.
You have to, no matter which of the three you used, you were responsible for toilet paper, like your hand towels, Kleenex, cleaning supplies, they bring in to cover, but it's, the liners to the trash cans, we have to provide those too. And that was all three providers.
But it went up a
And the
lot.
chief generally gets those at Costco.
Yeah, so but it went up. It's a big jump. How do we justify that?
All right, we've got quite a long way to go, so.
Do we, janitorial supplies? how do
Janitorial
we-
supplies, well, they were 1,500 this year.
See, on-
And so,
Yeah, should there be 20, oh, I see what you're saying. Should they be 20?
so 2,000?
Yeah, I mean, 1,500.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to go, you're right, we're not going to go with $1,300 on janitorial supplies, right? What'd you guys say?
2,000?
Is that cool with everybody?
Is that realistic? Are you, do you?
you're looking at the wrong person.
Oh, I thought,
Okay.
I thought you were going, Mark was saying you get them at Costco.
Julie and Michelle.
Oh, they do that? Okay.
I do go to Costco to get some discounted, but I.
You're not doing it, yeah, okay.
It's a
Misunderstood.
combination Of both places, guys. There's some that we just get Amazon delivery, and some we have to go to the store and get.
I mean, we could make it.
Whatever's better that month.
Yeah, we could make it 25. I wouldn't go too low.
2,500, okay.
Yeah, 25.
Okay.
Line 121, $2,500.
Yes, sir.
Now we're switching to a new page, 407.
Yep.
Any changes?
My suggestion about community relations was based only on my experience both on the committee and watching since then, that the budget is almost never spent. I don't know that there's one time that the budget has been spent.
But we have some new members, and they have a lot of new idea. I think there's going to be
You think so?
more activities, yeah, than there was in the past. So I would leave it.
Chief, what do you got?
They are usually pretty good. If you look at actually this year's budget, it was about, both of them was like 94%, so they did use it this year around. And the only thing I just ask is that, remember, next year we're adding a new event. They're doing a Boo After Dark for Halloween.
Yeah, for Halloween,
So,
yeah.
So we'll put theirs back.
yeah, just,
And they try their best with the chief and others to
They
get
do.
donations. Like If you go National Night Out, there's a
Oh,
lot
no,
of,
I've been.
We
a lot
get
of
free
free,
hot
lot of free hot dogs.
you know,
Oh, no, if it wasn't
I've
for
been
our
out there going to
donations, it
Home
would be
Depots
extreme.
and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Speaking of National Night Out, did the flyout budget thing happen here again, Tim? Because the flyout number's 6,000, but we're done and spent already.
Probably, yeah.
So 5,000 might be a
Most
good number.
definitely, Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have added 2 extra months in there when we
Okay.
extrapolate it out.
Got it.
So are we gonna keep the 3,000 and 5,000?
One more quick thing.
I
On
think we
National Night
should.
Out, you could probably reduce that one, just because last year we did purchase items that are village-owned.
That's right.
Like, some of the games, the popcorn machine, like, those were purchased outright. So with the donations,
So go to
that
4.
could go down, but my suggestion would be the other line item, because that's Holiday in the Hills, the Winter Festival, and that, I think, should stay.
So we should keep 3,000 and not reduce to 2, but on the 5,000 line.
down to 4?
Reduce to 4.
Okay,
Okay, four's fair.
good with that.
I
So-
think 5, but
Line 132 is now 4,000. Line 131 remains the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, police services. Yeah, we did. Okay, police commission. Building and zoning.
building and zoning,
We're dropping
Well-
the building and zoning.
I would like to, I guess I have 2 questions on police services, but
Police
they're,
services.
they're both related to supplies, office supplies, and stuff. Would it, like, how much of the printing and publishing budget of $3,000 goes to things like the really awesome presentation materials that we receive here, which are great, but we could like skip?
Minimal. So your printing and publishing goes to, so you gotta remember, we have state tickets, local tickets for the adjudication. We have 3 different versions of our citations. When we have to order our citations, it's, for each one of them, it's roughly about $600 when we get them in. So they come in larger quantities. DUI forms, tow forms, crime prevention notices, almost all of that is budgeted for like all our papers. So, and it gets more expensive for it. So that is, it's not like the nifty,
Right.
poor design stuff
Thank
by
you.
me.
And then we saw a significant increase, so we figured that there's a reason for that. So
Can we
back to
move
3,000?
then to building and zoning at that point? then?
I think so.
I think this first line of salaries, we've kind of got built in. Tim, is it 3.5% COLA?
Right, so that reduction that you saw up on administration, a portion of it should be down here at building and zoning. But if you want to leave him with a 3.5% COLA, then it wouldn't matter.
And his hours do sometimes reduce in the winter, because if there's no work for him to do, he's very happy to not come in.
I was anticipating his hours would go down with the
Norton.
reduction in
Norton.
building activity, and also depending on how we handle some of the permits in the future.
Yeah, well, just almost every Monday I come in, he's either handling some research for the contract, Jim Brown, to the complaints, trying to organize that, so when he comes in, he hits 5 or 7 places to view, and he's got the GIS maps already allocating what it's changed over time. So he's constantly doing stuff to reduce Brown's hours, because Brown is twice as expensive as he is. So I don't know that we can really cut that back. We will try. He's not looking for more hours. He's looking for less, actually. He's the only employee that's not clamoring for more time.
Tim, is the entire actual column on this spreadsheet, these projected numbers, it's just a formula, right? So even under salaries and building and zoning, it's 47,790, 26 budgeted, it's 42,800. It's a decrease, that's not accurate, right? So just disregard that column.
The
The projected salary for building and zoning went down
Column F,
$5,000?
column F.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be pretty solid, because when it came to payroll, I actually took the numbers of payrolls left and extrapolated that out.
So we are projecting that to go down $5,000 next year, the payroll for building
Yeah,
and zoning?
he's getting his 3.5% on the hour, his COLA for his
Yeah.
hourly. But it's, to trustee Burson's point, there's not Norton Lake, and that used to consume a lot of his hours.
So you guys projected a decrease in hours already?
Slightly,
Okay.
but I don't want to be too wildly optimistic.
I just want to make sure I'm reading it correctly. That's why those numbers are what they are?
Last year was a big year for roofs because of the hail damage and the success for a lot of people getting insurance to pay it, so they were here last year.
Sure.
I can't expect to get the same hail damage again.
Okay.
And I think the year before was when there was a full-time person in the position.
Yep, and that position went away, and then we contract Jim Brown as needed. And that's a different contract line item that will go down because we don't have a zoning ordinance work and we don't have a comp plan work after the public hearing, May 15th to May 30th timeframe, depending on what they do tomorrow night for setting that date. His hours will go down. And if he does work any hours for the future planning area south of 38, that'll be 100% reduced or paid for by the developer.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's.
But he's still
it's-
gonna have a lot of one day a week chasing the folks that are trying to do home-based businesses like landscape yards or tree cutting services that very much are a problem to their neighbors because of the noise and/or traffic volume. So he's always gonna have those every.
So we all comfortable staying, so 35,000?
Yep.
Is that workable? Okay.
I'm sorry, we changing a line item?
187.
Okay.
I think we're going to, after talking to Administrator Rooney, we're thinking about increasing 194.
What do we drop it
10,000.
to, 35,000?
For legal services, building and zoning, some amount of this money that was spent in 2025 was actually related to, apparently to annexation activity and was somewhat extraordinary expense at the time. And so if we just take that number and move it forward, that doesn't really tell us a lot. And we don't know what our legal expenses are going to be really in connection with this annexation, if it happens. And so, as Trustee Hassenberger was saying, relative to doing a budget amendment, if we were to get this grant, for example, I think there's a budget amendment in our future anyway, if this annexation were to proceed, and would allow us to reconsider what the actual legal budget for building and zoning is, which we'll almost certainly try and cover in the annexation revenues. So Administrator Rooney was recommending $10,000, just in case,
Yeah. Five's too low.
KTJ had to engage in some other miscellaneous
Yeah.
building and zoning.
Carmen
Could have a little bit in-
the
into-
subdivision or.
Right, with regard to any development south of 38 that Administrator Rooney discussed, there is an anticipation that there would be reimbursement for professional fees, so engineering, legal, consultants. Any other private property owners seeking annexation into the village, which now, as I spoke of at the last meeting, there are several, that would not be included in those reimbursements. So there's, I mean,
So
I've
there's
drafted several agreements already. There may be several more from other property owners that we
So
have to work on.
keeping 10 is a necessary cost.
Yes. It's a big project.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, 10 instead of 26.
35,
So line
you
one
said.
ninety-four, we want to change it to 10,000.
Check.
Okay. I am not married to that number.
Oh, you went down to 10?
Yes. And then on contracting for building and zoning, we're projecting at his base rate from MGT, formerly Gov HR, it's now 101.50, and we're saying going forward, it'll be 10 hours a week. He'll do 6 to 8 every week, doing inspections and adjudication every 2 weeks, or once a month rather, and then some work. And if it's anything south of 38, or the developer will reimburse. So that number is, that number
75?
should be pretty solid. It'll be a reduction because there's no zoning ordinance work and there's no comp time work that was artificially raising that in the last budget year. So if we reduce that, I think we can live with it.
Is the 101.50 per hour, that's out the door?
Yeah, he pockets like 66.
Yeah, 'cause he's contracted, yeah.
And the contractor takes,
And we're thinking 10
40,000
hours a
based on
week?
8.
Did you want to pad that with extra? Because I see that as about 52,780.
This is based on 8, this number.
On what again?
This number here, I think, is calculated on 8, so if
and
you
I,
want it
and I
10.
told Janet we need 10. So
10
yeah, we
hours.
should pad it up another 1,000.
Well, no, I'm saying down.
No, no,
Like
up.
at 10 hours a week at 101.50, unless I get 52,780 for a year.
Yeah, that's what you got, right?
50,750 is what I got.
Am I in the wrong line?
No, you're right.
It has 75,000, right?
Well, that was before the reduction.
So there's, okay,
So
so what are we,
we'll take your number of 52,780.
52,780? Okay, because my budget has 75,095 on it.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna reduce it to the 52.
So that's 10 hours instead of 8.
Beautiful.
Bar-
Very
Janet's
good.
number was 8 hours, it was only 40,000, I'm saying we need more. So your
Understood.
52 is exactly where we wanna get.
That's still
Excellent.
less than the other.
Yep,
Okay.
we saved 25 grand there. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I would say, though, he's doing code enforcement now, and we really needed that, because there's a lot going on.
And that's why we need the 10 hours.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody's agreeing to that.
Yeah, he's been out in the field quite a bit, which is good.
And you still have Alex at a reduced time. Okay.
So 197, line 197 will be a flat $52,000,
52,780.
52,780.
Correct.
$202 is the backside correction on the driveway access fees, the expense correction.
Okay. 4,800. You got that, Tim?
No, so,
Line 202,
right?
drop that down to 4,800.
Yep, that's good, that's good. We should drop it.
If it goes up, both things go up, so.
Yep.
You make your own cost, yeah.
And then, Tim, just using the Excel spreadsheet with the February numbers for MFT, what number did you calculate that at, the new, using the February? Is it different than the,
Yeah, let me see. I think it changes very little.
should be?
Changes by $2,286,000 to the positive. So, line 212, we have as 241,647. That's actually going to be 234,789 for a
Good.
decrease. But then the next line we have as $243.62. That's going to increase to $252. I'm sorry, $252,205 for an increase of 9,143.
So what's the full number for both items?
For the net, the full number is going to be 486,995.
Can you review the first number with me? Because I have 234,789 for motor fuel tax fund allotment.
I would refer you to this schedule. if that's okay.
I'm instead looking at the, this schedule that you gave us that has
Which
20.
schedule is that?
Revenue estimate, summary of revenue estimating, it's this table that has the 2157,
This from the IML.
right?
Okay.
And that showed us taking a
I do.
$5,551 hit because that rate went down a little bit, offset against the 22,750, which we just agreed on, which gave us a pickup in total of 17,198.
Okay.
One decreased by 4%, the other one went up by 2%, 2.3.
Kind of all the way around. The one went up by, so you have one that went up by 22,750, one that went down by 5,551, for a net pickup of 17,198.
Okay, so the numbers we're proposing now is going to be 234,789 for the motor fuel tax allotment, and $252,205 for the
Okay,
MFT
Yes.
Thank you.
transportation
So-
renewal.
Yes.
Thank,
Tim's Excel spreadsheet, same as yours, John.
great, thank you.
Good stuff.
And they're just keeping flat on the interest, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. And the road and bridge is just, I wish there was more science to that, Mike.
I'd say just remind everybody the expenditures are for our match for the projects upcoming out of MFT.
Yeah, but especially in regards to Plato, it's not very much money. We always spend more,
And our
and we have to take some out of the
expenditure
general
10
fund to
times.
take care of
We-
Plato.
Well, we've
I'll
always,
have to look at this.
I mean, Plato, the thing with Plato is, since we don't get road and bridge from them, we get their per capita, so we've always figured that was our give back to them, was the extra per capita we get for them as individuals we spend on their roads.
And it varies year to year based
Depends
on
on
how,
what Sam has to do.
there was a lot of deferred maintenance that got taken care of last year. I don't think it'll be that number
Yes, we
next
should.
year, though.
Yes.
So, Tim, do you have a roll-up, or Janet, what's your roll-up?
Mine's 38,292. That includes the $35,000 of. Mine is 38,292. That includes the $35,000 of DECO money that we really should have an offsetting road expense for, but we don't really have a place to put it.
What line is that? Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, the total?
No, what line that?
Oh, for the grant, so under miscellaneous, we rolled all that up to $100,000. That includes $35,000 of DECO money, which is gonna get spent on the roads, but we do not recognize that expense anywhere here. So, we can say we have a surplus of 38,292, but we probably really only have a surplus of 3,292.
We should show a $35,000 transfer to the road fund,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's essentially what she just said.
Right.
Without specifying it.
Okay.
Because
Let me
the,
go back.
the DECO.
Or to
money-
capital, it'd be transferred out to capital projects,
Check,
right?
yes. So, but Tim, what's your rolling totals? Is it?
I don't know, I'd have to throw it in the spreadsheet. I'm
Okay.
just writing down notes
But
here.
right now, you've been keeping yours active.
I have, and I'll share this with
After.
Treasurer Phillips, and he can compare
But
notes.
for the audience, it is a net, if you net out that 35.
Assuming we didn't screw up, then we're at a surplus of 38,292, and still needing to recognize that $35,000 road expense.
So-
33,800.
Right.
So we've got a net positive for the year projected of $3,800. That's pretty tight.
And no kidding.
Well, think about this, though, some of that we had to show with that transfer in and out for the capital, big ones.
But isn't it just a restriction on the reserve? We're not moving the money, are we?
No, yeah, the money is still in our, earning interest until we, the cash reserve stays that high, close to 5 million, it's 4.9 million. But now we're gonna show a $600,000
Is this the same as that?
restricted number because it's going to the
You handed it to me, I want to see what it
$4 million
is.
this year.
Oh, okay.
Well, and that's
We'll still earn interest up until the time IDOT sends us the invoice.
which could be 2 years down the road, actually. It could be 2 years before
Yeah,
IDOT,
it'll probably be 2 budget years before IDOT bills us that.
but we have to show that we have it set aside.
We have to.
That's part of the grant agree.
Yeah, we have to show that it's in a restricted fund balance,
Right.
not available.
And to the question just asked, I mean, if there's a difference in road and bridge, it's passed through now to the township as part of the agreement, so up or down, that's what he's getting.
So we got it.
My issue is that I believe you're gonna see from the allocations from the county extender, that we're giving 30,000 more that's not accounted for in your budget.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In addition to the 601,
We can add that to the
046?
budget, we can add it to amendment if it comes in that way. Yeah.
In the budget last week, but
Okay.
I pulled the extension sheets up, and that's what we're gonna actually get in the three townships.
But the reality of how our IGA works with the highway commissioner, whatever road and bridge dollars we get, we commit in the Campton Township to turn it over because it gets
right.
combined with his tax levy to provide.
But
But we
no,
can
I think
keep the
we
other
do though,
two.
because it was 578 before, and it's now 607.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that adjusted?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
Oh, yeah, 607,
It
983,
just doesn't change our
938.
budget.
Right,
He just didn't say, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, for the new folks though, the IGA with the highway commissioner is we expend our road and bridge and then the tax levy that everybody pays, unincorporated or incorporated, he finishes out the year to snow plow and fix ditches and tree trim and everything else that they do, buy a new truck every now and then. So there's no leftover road and bridge at any point in time for either Plato or Campton Township. The monies that we get, it's a pass-through.
Nor should they be.
Yeah, that's right. And we take money from the general fund to take care of stuff in Plato quite
Correct.
often. Every year that I've seen on the budget.
And we pocket the difference in the MFT per capita per mile, and that's our,
Offset,
well, that's part of our capital fund. I mean,
yes.
Are we good for calling the question? I'll call the question if everybody's cool.
Perfect.
I still don't think your number's right. I don't know what the line number is.
Yeah, but the net in and out's the same.
But it's not on the spreadsheet that I have a copy of.
It's on ours.
Okay. As long as it says 607.
607, 938.
For the expenditure.
Both, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the revenue. The expenditure is higher because we.
Yeah, right, the expenditure's higher
Because
because
of
we
the
have
Plato
to
Township
subsidize
route.
Plato.
But the IGA for Campton Township on mine says 591.
Oh, then
Oh,
the
I see
Plato
what
would
you're
drop
saying.
then.
Janet gets it, right?
I get it, but where are you seeing that IGA number?
It's on the spreadsheet you sent me, so I don't.
Oh, here?
Yeah, but where,
Oh, I see what you're saying, because it still says 591, 281.
So it's on.
Gotcha.
so you would like to see line 239 adjusted to 601046?
Well,
No, I think 607, 601.
Well, no, because
No, one of those
because
Plato.
we don't give Campton Township the Plato Township money, do we?
Correct.
That's what it should be changed to.
Yeah. Which number?
What's off by 10 then?
So should it be this one or this one?
No, they should match. No, you're right.
Which would be the Campton Township number, right?
Yeah, it should be just the Campton Township number. All right, I'm not calling the question, hold on. I got you now, sorry about that. Okay, so Tim, if I'm following right, so line.
On road and bridge, Tim.
On road and bridge,
230?
239.
yep, line 239, the out should be 601046.
And the combined revenue from 230 to 233 is going to be the same number. I'm sorry,
Correct.
232.
The total will be 607,938.
Yeah. Because we get $7 from Elgin Township.
607,
938,
And we run at a deficit in
Of
road and
7,000.
bridge, 77,000.
no, 7,000. Oh, no, 7,000, yeah, the fund deficit, yeah, which we can do, okay. All right,
So, now call the
Call the
question.
question?
yeah, everybody okay now, calling the question?
I think so.
Okay.
Madam President, I would like to call the
All
question.
right, Tracy, roll call with the amendments.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Muir?
Aye.
Trustee Benetti?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Hassenberger?
Aye. Okay, motion passes, thank you. Our deadline was tomorrow, so thank you very much. Do we want to go into consideration of user fees today? I see Dr. Zanders here too about the annexation, I think he'd like to.
Well, I mean, the user fees, I think that it was spoken by Patsy Smith at the beginning of the meeting.
Uh-huh.
We've only listed the ones that Kleinthorpe and Jenkins has a reasonable belief as a law firm that represents a multitude of communities in the Chicagoland area, that these are what we could impose. It still becomes a political question of what we showed 3 weeks ago. We were showing if we imposed all of them, plus committed our 450-some thousand in MFT, we would have on revenues enough dollars to float a $10 million bond without going to referendum on property tax. And that was kind of, the pledge would be, any user fee would be capital, road and/or squad cars or generators or whatever is capital. That's what you'd want to do, I think, politically, to establish user fees. But looking at those, if you're not ready to say I'm for X or Y tonight, you've got the list. And at some point, we are going to get to the point where we need relief in the capital line because the primary function of the village with local distributive money from the state is getting very precarious to have a budget that isn't in deficit every year. So you're going to have to decide something. The days of local distributive money raising at 3%, inflation is not 3%. And that revenue is increasing by 2 to 3.5. It doesn't work anymore. Especially with, you have more police, you have 2 more policemen than you did back then too. And they're much more expensive. It's a seller's market. It's not us buying. There's not very many available. And that price has gone up. And I think everybody can understand that. So we can deal with this next meeting, so you have a chance, having digested this budget, to where we're gonna be going forward.
I also sent each of you the numbers that Tracy sent me from East Dundee and the population in East Dundee, just so you could see what the yearly income is and
Some of those fees.
for some of those fees, exactly, so. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Since there's some new folks in the room too, I'll restate my position from before. I haven't changed yet. Places of eating is a non-starter for me, just because of the small number of restaurants we have, and that one is an awful one to self-administer. I speak from my experience when I was in Campton Hills. I'm sorry, when I was in Clarendon Hills. The concept of trying to see if we can get the streaming to replace our lost revenue in Comcast is, I'm thinking, my main concern. So the defensibility of that, as brought up by Patsy, or looking at what we're seeing actuals in East Dundee, I think I would still be interested in that as a going forward. Haven't decided on the other.
The utility taxes would,
Yeah.
I don't know of another community in the state, and I've been back east, utility therm and your kilowatt, there is almost every municipality in the country charges something on that, and we just never established that. And if you look at the East Dundee numbers and probably triple that'd be a good number too. So there's that one. And this 1% on the one gas station in town that you could do too. That's not a large amount of money, but it is the gas tax. We can't do that one. Oh, you did, you ruled that one out. Sorry. I saw John and I was remembering last year.
It is home rule.
We can't do that one because it requires home rule.
And just, you saw the memo that I included in the packet at Administrator Renner's request. I just updated the cover memo from last year, but the ordinances were the same in draft format. And we have looked into the question of the ability of a non-home rule municipality to institute an amusement tax for streaming services. And there was litigation when the city of Chicago passed their ordinance back in, it was 2017, 2018. And there was a case in 2019 that went up to the First District Appellate Court that talked about the ITFA that was discussed tonight, and the applicability of that act to amusements is different than providing internet access or providing or conducting electronic commerce. So it's our opinion that the village could institute a streaming tax. We provided that opinion to other non-home rule municipalities before too.
And the
So,
fact
yeah.
is, every one of those, whether it's Paramount or Disney or, they have a base Chicagoland rate. So they're factoring in what the cost is when a municipality across the 250-some communities, and we're probably the last of the 2% that haven't done it. So they're not gonna reduce anybody's streaming bill because they're already contemplating that everybody's doing it. So it's not gonna increase anybody's cost out of their pocket for these services at their house.
We know that for a fact?
Because you can just look at the prices that they're advertising.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, the answer is unclear as to whether or not it would be tacked onto the bill, but in many communities, it has not.
Because
That would
they
be up to the
advertise.
provider, because they're the ones that set the price, so if they wanted to increase it, they could. Sure.
They haven't so far. They have one flat rate they advertise in the region, and that's the rate you get when you sign up. They don't, that's one bill where they don't add it, like telecommunication, that Patsy said, yes, if we put that in, there will be buried in that telecom line, a cost for the village imposing a fee.
Right. Typically, there's a disclaimer when you sign up that it can include additional taxes if they're instituted.
If.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we must get people each day that come in and they're just really upset about the roads and they want their roads done. And so that's really what we would be focusing on, I think, more than anything, are the roads.
Well, and capital of a squad car, we're gonna
Mhm.
need one
Oh, yeah.
every 5 years. We gotta find a way to give some relief on the general fund to fund it. Not every year. Every year we get 60-some thousand.
Yeah,
I have a quick question on this one. May
yeah,
I?
quickly, yeah.
You had thrown out $10 million bond that we could use for road work. Would you be able to put together like a real model that would kind of show this? I mean, is there,
3 weeks ago, we did do a handout. We can just send that around again. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we've got, what was the gentleman? Spirit Financial, and he is looking at just over 4% of the municipal rate, bond. And then the cost factored in. Yep. I think it's in your packet. We'll put it
Kim's
out
got
again
it.
next week.
Kim's got it all.
Kim's got it from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we'll look and bring that forward for discussion next week, next Tuesday, because we're meeting again Tuesday.
All right, let's move on. Discussion items, number 6, potential annexation agreements. We'll cover
Yes.
that. and-
Carmen is working with Harley Avenue homeowners,
Harley Road.
Harley Avenue, Harley Road. And they are, and go ahead and speak to the point that that's different than the 900-acre
Sure.
land property.
Gave an update at the last meeting, but Since then, I've had additional discussions with some of the property owners on Harley Road regarding the draft annexation agreements. Some are still reviewing to provide me comments. One or two have signed off on the village's versions, negotiated versions. So we're kind of waiting for all of them to come in and so that we could package them and have them all considered at the same time. So, and that would be separate, as Administrator Rooney said, from any annexation of the properties south of Route 38. We are working on potential terms for a pre-annexation agreement for those properties.
And we hope to have Dave Patzell here in front of you with that pre-annexation deal points to, Carmen and I will present them. He'll give his overview of saying he's accepting them, and you can open the discussions about that. What was gonna be this Pulte subdivision of that Ryan property of 960 acres, it's that same land. It's just that Shodine would be moving forward as the developer of record instead of Pulte out of Dallas. And his success is obvious because of his connectivity across the street at Mill Creek. He's got a sewer treatment facility that has capacity.
Same as Fox Mill. So, yeah.
So in adding on to our discussion about reimbursement of professional fees, Shodine has already committed to these preliminary fees for legal and consulting and engineering fees. And part of that annexation agreement would be to set an escrow amount for them to replenish that, bring it up higher from the amount that they've already paid to the village. And then, have an arrangement for review of invoices and such, but everything would be paid out of them.
And he should have a preliminary plan for you to look at where there's townhomes and the density level. It's a max of 900 units. He doesn't have any intent to go above that number because it's tied to his sale price with Ryan family. So we'll be able to show you that, and then you can digest it and say we'll make a referral to the planning and zoning for a PUD, or you'll say we want to come back and answer A, B, and C and do it on the 20th. But you don't send it to the planning and zoning till you feel satisfied as a group.
Yeah, and Drew Frost has been working really hard, along with Dr. Zander, on, it'll be 90 acres of open space and 450 acres.
Plus or minus,
Then-
plus or minus 450 acres
Ooh,
of open space.
I must be thinking just along Mill Creek.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's 50 acres on Long Mill Creek, the floodway zoning
Yeah.
of that. But, and then the open space they have for trails and stuff will increase that. But they will be looking
It's
to
amazing.
sell
It's cool.
to either Campton Township with the recent bond, to sell some of that to their control, the Park District of St. Charles, which isn't the city of, and the
Kane County
Forest,
Forest
Kane County
Preserve.
Forest Preserve,
Mhm.
and potentially the Conservation Fund and the Conservation
Foundation.
Foundation,
Yeah.
both could be involved as well. So,
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just amazing.
and
It's a good thing.
Drew and Dr.
Yeah.
Zander have had meetings in La Fox with the traditional,
You guys.
the
yeah.
traditional folks that have been tracking that for the last 25 years, and they've been opposed, that generally speaking, everybody's seeing this could be a net, 900 is a lot better than 2,100 or 2,500
it was
that have been over the years, so. Or even yeah, so.
Yeah.
And there's a potential for other land to be acquired that'll join it later, but at this point, it's just the Ryan properties. And if they did that, that other issue that the Brundage Road group was looking to annex into the village by a court directive
Mhm.
may all be dropped, because if Shodine buys it, that lawsuit that they're filing to join the village on Brundage won't need to go forward further. But we will have an ability, for any of you that I haven't spoken to at least once or twice already about this, we can talk call and set up a time when we can go through that. I can even have Drew Franz available, and we'll go through the full plan. And if tonight, before you leave, if you want to stop by, I've got a mock-up of where that open space is, and it's essentially all north of the Campton Blackberry Township. So all the open space will be along that Milk Creek and that other tributary creek.
Kind of on the
It'll all be
east side.
north
Mhm.
and east of that.
Mm.
There will be no bridges or development to the north of that or to the east of those tributaries on that
Really
map.
cool.
And the school children will all be in the Geneva School District.
Mhm.
So there's no tax
Yeah.
increase indirectly to the citizens that you represent in the school district of St. Charles. It's all in Geneva. They said they have capacity,
Mhm.
so they'll have no impact fee for a new building or a new anything. So this is a very net positive in many, many ways for the minimization of the impact of more housing, more people on a road network and a good quality of life. So, but please, if you have concerns or questions, ask me and we can set something up so it's easier for you to make a decision on the 6th or the 20th.
Yeah, and I just want to recognize Dr. Zander, who's sitting behind Holly there, and he's been working with Drew Frost just as hard as Drew has. And I forget the subdivision you live in. Dillonfield, of course, right along La Fox near the Historic District. So, yeah, he's been a great help as well. Yeah.
One of the other things to think about.
Can you use the mic, Bill?
One of the other wonderful things to think about is that.
Still not on. Bill?
How
Oh,
about
there
now?
you
Can you
go.
hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, great. One of the other things to think about is, the county is 40% open space, right? And we said numbers to you, but we're talking about 63% open
Yes.
space. And then protecting we look at it, we have like 5 sub-neighborhoods in the area, and we're kind of protecting the historic La Fox to keep it somewhat historic and in the same grid-like pattern. A nice walking trail and to the train stations from the Dillonfield subdivisions, and then the preservation of the north branch of the Mill Creek, and keeping that rustic road, one of the few that we have in the county, a rustic road and not a subdivision. So, and I want to also thank Barb and Carmen and Mark for all the help that they've done as well, so. And then,
Yeah.
hi again, Patsy, it's been years.
It's, the other point you make, we won't have a bridge going over to get to Brundage because Road and Bridge never has enough money to pay for a bridge, so we're not creating
Yeah.
a new liability either. And we're looking to have an active SSA to pay for the roads. Sam Galucci is meeting with Rod from Blackberry, and we'll probably likely amend and do an IGA with the Campton Highway Department. We'll do one with Blackberry. So the Campton Highway District will go across the boundary line of the townships, but it'll be an agreement with Blackberry Township. And Sam is going to give us an endorsement of that fact before next Tuesday. So we think everybody's been heard from, and we've taken into account protecting Brundage, but also protecting our budget, not to have a bridge. And it's a sensitive area, why cross it?
So I'm here if anyone wants to talk to me after the meeting. I'd be happy to
There you
discuss
go.
anything you want, so.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Zander.
again.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. 7 additional items from President Trustees Attorney. Anything? Okay, we don't need closed session, and motion to adjourn. Moved by Therese.
Second.
And second by Frank. All in favor, say aye.